Hi, this is Sam Antonio with Liberty News Network. I'm here at LPAC in Reno, Nevada, and I'm here with John Hallman. He's the Legislative Affairs Director in the state of Florida for Campaign for Liberty. And thank you for joining us in the booth today.
Sam, appreciate it.
Good. Now, I was reading your background. It's very interesting because it's sort of parallel to mine. I was an activist in the Republican Party, but now I tell people I'm a recovering political addict. I moved on to bigger and better things.
Right.
You were active in the Republican Party.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just quickly, let's talk about your journey, how you went from there to now working for Campaign for Liberty, and why you moved there, why your activism has changed from that area to a new area.
Right. Well, I got involved in the Republican Party. My local county at the time was Palm Beach County. Mm-hmm. Became a committee man.
Sure.
And on their board of directors too as well, and the local Boca Raton Republican Club. So I was, Mr. Republican, and very involved. But I always did it because I believed in conservative values, and I wanted to be a force through that for conservative values. And kind of over time, I got a little disappointed and felt like my energies would be better elsewhere. So I am not involved with the Republican Party
Sure.
any longer. I'll support good Republican candidates, obviously, but I'm also going to call out the bad ones. And my position with Florida Campaign for Liberty is I'm free now to, call out the bad ones, so I just felt like my energies would be much better directed than what I'm doing now.
Well, now as Legislative Affairs Director, you're going to have a couple of bills coming forth or some issues you're going to be fighting. One of the things that we were talking about beforehand here was, and I think it's going to be on the interest of most people's minds, is Agenda 21. But I think what people are going to find very interesting is you look at something like Agenda 21 that's an international. What is it doing concerning Florida? I mean, and does it concern people on a local level? And I think people are very surprised that it does. Explain
Sure.
what you're doing there in Florida.
Well, actually, as I was saying earlier, I don't have the number exact, but it's roughly 24, I think, between cities and counties in Florida that have joined the ICLE, I believe.
Yes.
Part of the Agenda 21 have adopted it officially and are dues-paying members of it.
Oh, wow.
So we're seeing the effects in Florida already. And, we get a lot of feedback from people in different counties that are going, wow, this is happening, and the property rights are being eroded, and everything that goes with Agenda 21. So we really have decided to, as one of our big focus this year, we touched on it last year with Florida Campaign for Liberty, and we're really going to see what we can do. With me as the state legislative director, I work on state policy, obviously.
Sure.
And but we have a lot of volunteers around the state that are going to give us the stories that I'm going to take to Tallahassee and go, this has got to stop, and we need the state legislature to step in somehow, some way, and to put a stop to this. And so that's going to be a huge focus for us this year in the upcoming session.
Now, I was just speaking with one of your other colleagues. We got talking about red light cameras, and that's something you're also fighting in Florida.
Oh, absolutely. It's a big issue. It was a big issue last year. We had a bill that would have ended the use of red light cameras. We got it passed through the House, but the Senate decided to bury it. We never really got it through one committee, and then it really got buried at that point. And we had a great grassroots team. Did a great job of making the phone calls. So despite the heavy pressure, some of these legislators decided to cater to their local government friends who make a ton of money
Sure.
off of these red light cameras, and protected them and killed the bill. So we're not giving up. Our members, Florida Campaign for Liberty, are fired up again on that issue, just like Agenda 21, and they're fired up on the red light cameras. And we're going after them again this year. We're not giving up.
Is the issues that you're going to be fighting here coming up here there in Florida?
I'm sorry?
Is there issues that you'll be fighting there in Florida? Any other issues statewide? The bills that you see that are pending that Campaign for Liberty will be fighting against?
Fighting against? Well, I always say, they file in Florida. They file about 2,500 bills usually every year, and I say we start out thinking 2,500 are bad until you can prove to me that they're good. And so there's going to be a lot of bad bills, obviously, and there always is. So what we do is we conduct I'm in Tallahassee during the session, so I'm taking notes, and I'm scouring the bills, and we also have a great team of volunteers
Sure.
that help me by reading, because there's 2,500 bills, so they help me by reading the bills. And so read the bills is a big part of what we do at Florida Campaign for Liberty, because as you know probably, they sneak stuff in.
They sure do.
Through the amendment process especially, and then they'll try to fast track it so nobody ever gets,
yes.
So we got to be on top of it. So we really work hard to stay on top of every bill that we can. I mean, it's not easy, it's a lot of bills. But we have a team of volunteers, and we catch those amendments real fast, and then we work to defeat them. So that is a big part of what we do. And we have a weekly webinar where I get on and give a like accounting more or less of what's happened in the past week, every week of the session. And so I alert everybody, like, this bill's bad. There was a bill last year, they called it the teacher merit pay bill. So supposedly it was to take away the merit pay, which is a good idea. It should be based on your skills and not because of tenure. And so it sounded good, but there again, what we found out when we read the bill was it was basically complying with Race to the Top, if you're familiar with that.
Yes, I am.
Which is a program from the federal government and Barack Obama to have federal big-time influence on the curriculum in Florida. And so it really takes power away from local students and teachers and parents into the hand, and away from the state into the federal government, and teaching things like social justice and and all that bad stuff. So so read the bill. So that's something that we really work on. And unfortunately, again, the forces to be passed it. We couldn't stop it. We're going to try to undo it. Again, we just don't give up. And so the bad things that happened last year, we're going to try to undo this year, and the good things that didn't happen, we're going to try to get done this year.
Wonderful.
So that's, and of course the Real ID Act
is
another big focus of ours. We couldn't get a bill last year, but we did get a bill this year. Representative Jim Ahern was courageous enough to take on that challenge, because there's a lot of pushback because of the threats of the federal government. That if you're not compliant with the federal Real ID Act, and we're not going to let you your citizens fly or go into federal buildings, and so they really back down a lot of legislators. But so that's going to be a big battle. We're ready to take it on.
Well, wonderful. In conclusion here we are at LPAC in Reno, Nevada. We're amongst like-minded people who are opinion molders or activists, and I'm always interested in talking to other people, how they got involved. What caused you to be a liberty activist? What motivated you to be involved in this movement?
Well, I mean, I was always involved in politics as a young child. Came from a very political family, and very fierce independent. My great-grandfather was a cattle rancher, and so that fierce independence, and I don't need government, was kind of bred into me, as a child, or I was born that way. Actually.
It was in your genetics.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going to be that way probably. So that's where it started and was my base. And then as I got into politics and I saw how government just really, I'm going back 30 years ago, how government was just taking over every aspect of our life, and we had no freedom of choice to, do how we want to do, with ourselves. And so I really just got involved at a young age in politics, and it led me to the Republican Party, but then led me to now Campaign for Liberty. So I feel like now I'm very excited to be at the Florida Campaign for Liberty, because I feel like I can use all my energy and my ideas, my philosophy with this organization, because they believe what I believe. And so to take that and be able to represent them in Tallahassee, it's a great honor.
Well, great. I give you the best wishes of what's coming up there in Florida, and wish you well for your activism there. I want to thank you for stopping by the booth here and giving your time to talk with us at Liberty News Network here.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Sam. Thank you so much.
Good. This is Sam Antonio with Liberty News Network signing out here at LPAC at Reno, Nevada.